So now that it's February of 2024, can we please, dear God, agree that challenge season is over? I mean stunt challenges, the ones that masquerade as athletic when they actually bear more resemblance to those involving detergent and lighter fluid. And can we keep that shit knocked off for good so we ain't got to do this year from now? How do? I'm Adam 12, radio rat, podcaster, ultra runner, beer drinker. If you listen to me on the radio or my last podcast, Pushing 50, welcome back. Came here from the former, good, we're gonna rock. From the latter, great. We're still going to help each other do more stuff while taking less crap, but we're going to have more fun with it this time. Irony is, the linchpin of the ridiculous challenges is largely the same as it is for the healthy ones, seeing how much discomfort you can tolerate. So that being the case, why would you not go for one that produces positive results? Because the stunt ones are funny? Believe you me, plenty of funny shit goes on during an ultra marathon, and any hospitalizations resulting from doing one of those are far less likely to make the doctors think you're an idiot. Crazier, maybe, but like a fox, as you're going to find out if you listen here every week. Also, if you're between the ages of 50 and 100, you don't really have the time to listen to a lecture from some nurse practitioner about how any humor derived from your poop turning orange wasn't worth the damage to your stomach caused by eating that tub of cheese balls. And if your parents are still with us, they're less likely to hear about it, but only because you're old enough to drive yourself to the ER. Actually, I take that back. You're old enough to drive yourself to the ER, but you're not going to be able to because since you're still living in your parents' basement, you don't own your car. If, however, and this is a true story, you separate your shoulder during a trail race, time out to go to the urgent care, get the shoulder popped back in, clock back in to finish the race, your parents are a lot less likely to think you're a lost cause. And you're almost certainly not still living with your parents if you're, say, 51 and doing stuff like that for fun. Neither of these stories is autobiographical, by the way, although the separated shoulder thing did happen during Beast of the East a couple of years back. And speaking of Dirty Wolf racing events, might as well do this one now. Leatherwood is coming up. Great race and an even better party in North Carolina horse country. Fantastic accommodations to go with the amazing scenery. 3 hours from Raleigh, 2 hours from Charlotte. It's not even 1 hour from either Boone or Blowing Rock, so it's close to everything while not really being on the map. Richard, Dirty Wolf Racing's head wolf in charge, rediscovered this place. The course is a rolling loop. Do it 1, 2, or 4 times for 7.5 miles, 25K, or 50K, your choice. And the price on both the 7.5 miler and the 25K has recently been lowered. It's challenging, but not brutal. So a great way, especially at those lower distances, to put your shoulder into trail running. See what I did there? While getting away for the weekend. The houses available for rent are just astonishing, and not just for the views. It's reasonably priced, getting there and staying there, especially if you do it with another couple. You can bring the kids. Check it out, man. Leatherwood from Dirty Wolf Racing, Saturday, April 13th. You'll find all the details at Dirty Wolf Racing on Facebook and Instagram. Hadn't been to the movies, as in to a movie theater, since gotta be before the pandemic, but this week I went to see the new Godzilla flick. If you're listening later in 2024, this is the Godzilla -1, the one from Japan that came out in late 23, and which they released in black and white for just 1 week. That's the version I saw, and it's brilliant. They made this thing for less than $15 million at the same time that they made the color version. That's about the same money that the Marvel Universe spends on catering for one of their films, and it's made over $100 million to date. It is the case study in building on the basics, sweating the small stuff while keeping it simple, making everything out of basically nothing. I loved this film, and there's no spoiler alerts needed here because everyone knows how Godzilla goes. Monster from out of nowhere, impossible to stop, and the people who've got to make the impossible possible have to do it quickly and without halting their lives because there's still lots of other stuff they've got no choice but to deal with. You know, the rest of their lives don't grind to a halt, especially if you're in post-World War II Japan. So for you and me, these days here, not battling a giant prehistoric monster, I think we can get to the gym a few times a week. Inflating your training, though, that's a different matter. Said last week, if you're a runner, there's really no substitute for time on your feet. Same goes for whatever activity is central to whichever goal you've got. You've got to find a way to do more of that thing. If you don't, the race, the event, the peak, it's either going to be out of reach or out of sight. I hesitate to use this word because it's even more incendiary than inflation, but it's about binging on the right things. Binging on TV shows, you want to get to your goal, that's over. Except if you've no choice to do so for work, even sitting for several hours at a time is over. Come on now. If you've made it this far, you've known for a while that shit's no good for you. If you take everything you've done for fun that's no good for you and replace it with stuff that's actually beneficial, you'll get where you need to be. I don't know you well enough to know exactly how you're going to do that. Maybe no one does. I can only assume that, as is the case for most people, you simply have to force yourself to do it enough that it becomes as much of a habit as the stuff that ain't no good, but is easier to fall back into. And once the stuff that is good for you becomes a habit, you won't have to force yourself. In fact, you'll have to force yourself to not expend that much or more effort. It is inertia, up and down. Make it go up. Now, quick aside here, now that the holiday magic has worn off and we got to inflate our train, holiday magic except for Valentine's Day, honey. God, I hope Mrs. 12 doesn't hear this one for a while. But as is the case over on the Pushing 100 podcast Facebook group, you're not going to get any political content over here. Anything that even could be considered political, in fact, is right out. That's the case regardless of years, but within this calendar year, there'll be even less than zero tolerance for it. There's got to be one place in every field of your view where you know you're not going to be subjected to that crap, and you can be sure that this is one of those places. There'll be no cross-generational insults, which, given that this is a show about aging, is even more rare than the lack of politics. We do not get ahead by knocking others down, not for that reason anyway. And I might as well tell you the third group rule, because it's the last. Take it outside. Nothing is to be taken or rebutted so seriously that I have to police the page or this show itself. I will, 'cause eventually we're going live with this thing. I'm going to end the arguments with one warning only. For the political and generational rules, this is the one warning. The politics are about them. The generational stuff is about you, not them. Got it? Good. With all that stuff out of the way, we can fight our own personal Godzillas, because you know they're going to keep coming. This is Pushing 100. I'm Adam 12. On Facebook, it's Pushing 100 Podcast. On Instagram, it's Adam 12. That's ADAM, the numbers 12, Sweat Hog. Adam 12 Sweat Hog. Thanks as always for listening. Hear you again real soon.